So today's a big day. We're going to start putting coilovers on my car. This has been something that I've wanted to do for a really long time, but haven't quite had the budget to do it. My goal here is to make the cheapest, best possible coilover kit for an E30. I'm going to show you guys what I bought. So I got a ground control coilover kit with 8K springs for the front and 12K springs for the rear. That's pretty stiff. This is a track/daily car. I don't mind having a stiff car. I'm 17, I can get away with being some punk racer kid. But in the rears, we are going to be running a set of Mustang KYB shocks. And in the front, we are going to be running a set of rear KYB shocks from a first-gen MR2. But we had a hard time figuring out what shocks we needed, so we're making this video to kind of show you guys exactly what works and what doesn't. Unfortunately, we got the wrong rear shocks from the wrong generation of Mustang, so we are going to have to get new ones and send these ones back. But yeah, so we're running Super Frankenstein suspension, and it should be kick-ass. My old shocks were super squishy. These shocks are super not squishy. These springs are super not squishy. And I'm super stoked. This is gonna be cool. So to get your strut assembly out, you need to take off your brake, or your brake caliper, which is 219mm. You need to take off your tie rod coming from the steering rack, which is a 17mm, and then your control arm, which is this guy right here, which is another 19mm. And then you have your brake wear sensor, which is back there, and that's a 4mm Allen wrench. And you need to get all those off, and then you need to unbolt it from the top, and then it should just fall out. You might have to disconnect your sway bar and link from the control arm as well. I'm not sure yet, but I think you probably have to.
You're back up. Yeah, there you go.
Dose! So we now have the spring off, and I'm going to take the old shock out, and in case it's blown and is going to let oil everywhere, I want to get that. Sick. They're still good.
You probably saw them.
Damn it. That sucks. So you can see all the oil that's on my hands. Actually, probably. Yep. So that sucks. There's a bunch of oil. The shock's blown. So I'm gonna give a brief rundown of what I'm gonna be doing here and what we have to do to get the coilover conversion kit on correctly. So we're gonna be cutting here. We're gonna be cutting off this perch, and then once the perch is off, we're going to be cutting right below this weld here. And then we're going to be measuring 2 inches up from there, and then cutting again. And then we're going to take that top section, throw away the middle section, and weld that top section right here. After that, we will weld on the new perch, and then we will put on the coilover itself. Comment down below, which is more, an ass load or a shit ton? And how many of one is the other?
Yeah, are they like part of the same measuring system?
Yeah.
Like
is it like 2 ass loads is a shit ton?
Well, actually, what I said is that drift video that we put together, I said there was 1 metric shit ton or ass load.
I don't know.
A lot.
That is a very straight cut. Fuck yeah.
Fuck yeah, actually.
Dude, that is so straight.
These here BMWs are real strong.
So we got good penetration. They're not pretty, but these ones are gonna get ground off, and then we're gonna place the perch on here and weld the bottom of that, paint it, put on the spring and whatnot, and then put it back in the car. So as you can see, I've got the new perch on here, and I have it held with these 2 welding magnets. Now the front of this perch has this little flat piece. The flat part of the new perch faces outwards towards the wheel. Want to weld under the perch and not on top of the perch, because the threaded piece for the coilover is supposed to be flush with the top of the actual strut tube. And so you don't want any welds here on the top interfering with that. So I'm going to tack weld this, and then I'm going to weld the rest of the way around, and then I'm going to do the same to the other one, and then we will get some epoxy primer, and we will prime it, and then we'll spray paint it black, and then we'll be able to put everything back together and put it back on the car. Alright, so this guy's all welded up. All the way around. I got good penetration. So this guy should be good. I'm gonna let it sit outside, let it cool off a bit. I'm gonna get this one, the other one done, and then I'll come back to you and we'll paint these. Alright, I've got the shocks ready for paint, and I've got some Rust-Oleum automotive primer, and then I'm gonna cover that with satin black. So I'm just gonna go for it. It doesn't have to be pretty. It's just holding my coils on. It's not gonna be beautiful, but it'll seal up the bare metal. I found a black primer, so this will be even better. Alright, it's been a couple minutes of shaking, and I'm gonna spray this with the satin black. Alright guys, I'm extremely excited for this. We're finally ready to assemble everything. I've got them all welded and painted and ground down. We've got the shocks here, and I just cut out these 2 little spacers that we need for these shocks since they're so much shorter. These are 1.25 inches tall. They're both the same size. They're both cut flat. So I'm going to drop these in here, and then drop these guys in here. I'm going to tighten them down. Well, I'm putting these together. It's pretty cool. Perfect. Coilover. Bring. Yeah, drop more shit. Great. Pick a stance life. Are also too small. I'm gonna have a cow. Ah, there we go. Hell yeah. Boom! There's one. Let's finish this bad boy off. We're gonna get the springs here. Put these guys on. And then we've got the top hat that it comes with. Here we've got the top hat, and we have some multi-purpose grease, and we're going to load this bearing full of this grease. Going to go as low as we can go just to see how it looks, because that's fun. I'm going to get the other coilovers back together, and it'll be good. And then we'll put them back in the car and be happy. So as you can see under here, as you can't see, so as you can see under here, I've already taken the spring out. I didn't take the wheel off because I didn't figure I'd need to, but I had to unbolt the sway bar. I had to unbolt my exhaust because it was actually holding the trailing arm up, and yeah, I had to unbolt the shock also. to let the wheel come down far enough so that I could get at the spring. So now I'm just gonna plop this guy right in there and do the same on the other side. Get everything hooked back up and drop her on the ground. So right now I am having my dad lower the wheel. I've got the jack under the tire and I'm having him lower it down. We have the spring and the coil actually in. Is that called coil? I don't know. You can call it the coil, a little like adjustment piece. Got the spring and the coil in there, and we're gonna lower the wheel down so I can get the shock back bolted back to the knuckle or to the trailing arm, and then from there we will bolt the exhaust back up and we should be good.
Say when.
Oh! Fuck!
What the fuck happened?
Oh, it's the spring, dude. God, it did that to me last time.
So
It's everything's good. It's just fucking scary. Did you get that on camera?
fuck, I don't know.
Fucking hope you did. That was funny.
Oh, so done.
The flow.
Don't need no stinking suspension.
Oh, guys.
It's down like another inch.
Okay.
More. It's down like another inch or more.
Yeah.
Okay. I really want to sit on that. Papa,
Hmm.
you won't, I mean, Jay, you won't.
It's really not that much lower. So that's how it was before. That's how it is now. It's fine.
You have some adjustment available, right? I mean, if you wanted your car to work, you could make it actually work, right?
No, this is as high as they go.
You're lying.
Yeah. This is as low as they go.
Okay. Well, that's cool then.
Okay, so we got the coilovers installed in the car, and it sits really nice and is fully adjustable, which is cool. And it feels really good. Having the 8K springs up front and the 10K springs in the rear was definitely a good setup for the mixture of daily driving and track time that the car gets. It's very stiff, but it's also not, you know, gonna tear your taint into two pieces. But if I were to ever do coilovers on an E30 again, I wouldn't go this way. I think I would still go with ground control coilovers, but as far as the shocks go, I would have done E30 front shocks instead of the shocks that I did. The idea of using the shocks that we used is they have a shorter overall shock length. So we could cut more out of the original shock tube and still keep the travel. But the issue with it was we actually had to modify the actual like shock shaft itself. We had to grind it down to fit the top hats for the E30. And it took like 3 or 4 hours. It was ridiculous. It works great, and now that it's in there, it's sweet, but I don't think I would ever want to do it again. So if I was going to do this, what I would do is I would do 8K springs in the front, 10K springs in the rear. I would get E30 KYB shocks for the front and Mustang KYB shocks for the rear. That setup would be damn near perfect. So in the next video, I'm going to be showing you guys how I built and designed and built my skid plate for my E30. It's a very unique design, it's very simple, and it is convenient if you have to ever take it off. And it also has a braking point if you are ever to crash super hard. But it's pretty strong and it's pretty nice. And I'm going to show you how to make it in the next video. We have been sucking at making videos over the last 3 weeks, and so over the next long time we're going to try to upload every Wednesday and every Saturday. And now we have to, because we said it in the video.
What is your goal, boy?
Whose car is that?